In the next few minutes, I'm exposing 13 chicken sandwiches sold across America that hide restricted preservatives, petroleum-derived dyes, silicone compounds, and mechanically separated paste inside the exact food you order because you believe it's the responsible choice. The chicken sandwich is supposed to be the smarter pick. That is literally the reason you reach for it instead of the burger. You tell yourself chicken is lighter, cleaner, the healthier trade. But the biggest chains in this country are loading these sandwiches with ingredients that are banned, restricted, or legally require government health warnings in other nations, and there is nothing on the packaging here to tell you. 13 sandwiches on this list. Some will genuinely surprise you. One of them is almost certainly your regular order right now. And here at Consumer Alert, we're also breaking down the 3 that actually earned their place, so you know exactly where to stop, where to walk away, and where to go instead. Number 13 is first. Let's get into it. Number 13, Arby's Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Arby's made a smart decision back in 1964. Every fast food chain in the country was chasing the burger. Arby's went the other direction entirely. Roast beef, sliced thin, served fast, built for people who were never burger people to begin with. That identity was honest, and it earned real loyalty, especially across the Midwest. The roast beef at Arby's is still whole muscle meat. You can watch it being sliced right at the counter. That visibility was always part of why customers trusted the brand in the first place. But the crispy chicken sandwich works in a completely different way. The chicken patty arrives pre-formed and pre-treated from a processing facility long before it ever reaches the restaurant. The ingredient list includes sodium phosphates and modified food starch, 2 additives that only show up when food needs to hold its shape and retain moisture far beyond what natural ingredients allow. Their presence tells you the chicken was processed and packaged somewhere far away from the restaurant well before anyone heated it up in front of you. There is no published third-party animal welfare certification for the chicken sourcing, no antibiotic use disclosure, no farm traceability of any kind. The sodium is already above 1,000 milligrams before you have ordered a single side. The brand built genuine trust through a product you can literally watch being made. The chicken sandwich is borrowing that trust for something built somewhere you will never see. The roast beef earned that reputation honestly. The crispy chicken is riding it for free. Number 12, Jack in the Box Cluck Sandwich. Jack in the Box doesn't carry the heritage story most chains lean on. No iconic founder. No defining cultural moment, no signature item that people grew up loving. What it has instead is hours. Late nights, early mornings, the window still glowing when everything else on the strip has gone dark. For a huge portion of its customers, that is the entire reason they pull in. Now look at what is actually in the Cluck sandwich. It contains carrageenan and dimethyl polysiloxane, both of them in the same product. Carrageenan comes from red seaweed, which sounds harmless enough, but the National Organic Standards Board reviewed the research and voted to remove carrageenan from the approved list of organic ingredients, citing studies linking it to intestinal inflammation and potential gut lining damage. It is still legal in conventional food. It simply no longer meets the bar the organic food industry set for clean products. So when you see it here, that is the context. Dimethyl polysiloxane is a silicone anti-foaming compound added directly to the frying oil. It is the same base compound used in silly putty. FDA approved at low concentrations and present in every single batch of oil this sandwich is cooked in. Finding both of these in one product is not a Jack-in-the-Box specific problem. It points to something much bigger. Most major chains pull from the same industrial commodity chicken supply system. The suppliers overlap. The processing facilities overlap. The additive packages travel right along with the product, and they do not change based on whose logo ends up on the bag. Jack in the Box has also published no animal welfare standards for its chicken, no antibiotic policy, and nothing that would let a customer trace this product back to any verifiable origin. Open late, sourcing unknown, 2 flagged additives confirmed. That is the complete picture of what is in the bag. Number 11. Sonic Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Sonic built something almost no other fast food brand quite has, a specific American memory. The drive-in stall, the tray hooked onto your car window, the roller skating staff, the slushes, summer evenings with kids in the back seat who already know their order before you finish pulling in. That nostalgia is not accidental. Sonic has been protecting it for decades, and it works because it ties the brand to something emotional before you ever think about the food itself. The crispy chicken sandwich inside that experience contains yellow 5. Yellow 5 is a synthetic food dye made from petroleum. In the European Union, every food product containing yellow 5 must carry a specific warning on the label. By law, that warning reads that it may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children, required across every single EU member country. In the United States, the FDA considers yellow 5 safe at permitted concentrations. The warning that is legally mandatory in Europe appears nowhere on Sonic's US packaging. Same dye, same research base, two completely different decisions about what parents deserve to be told. The sandwich also contains sodium acid pyrophosphate and modified food starch, processing additives that consistently appear in commodity chicken products where shelf stability takes priority over ingredient simplicity. Sonic has never added a voluntary yellow 5 disclosure to its US packaging. Families pulling into Sonic on a summer evening are thinking about the memory. The ingredient list does not interrupt that, it just sits quietly behind it. The nostalgia is real, so are the ingredients, only one of them gets shown to you. Those first three give you a sense of what is running through most of these menus. The next few get more specific, and the brand contradictions get much harder to overlook. Number 10. Burger King Royal Crispy Chicken. Burger King made the comparison direct. The advertising pointed specifically at Chick-fil-A. The Royal Crispy Chicken was positioned as the sandwich that could finally go head-to-head with the most trusted name in fast food chicken. The campaign was confident, bold even. Then you look at what is actually in it. The Royal Crispy Chicken contains carrageenan, the same compound that appeared in the Jack-in-the-Box section, the one the organic food industry decided did not belong in certified clean products. Here it is again, in a sandwich being marketed to families and teenagers as a premium chicken option. The sodium sits above 1,100 milligrams per sandwich. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams for a healthy adult per day. One Royal Crispy Chicken, before fries, before a drink, before anything else on the tray, already burns through nearly half of that entire daily ceiling. That is before the meal has even started. A teenager grabbing this after school is not doing sodium math. A family picking it up on the way home is thinking about whether everyone will eat it without complaining. That is the real decision environment this food lands in. Tasting good and being transparent about what is inside the food are two separate commitments. Burger King has been very consistent about which one gets the investment. It beat Chick-fil-A in the ads. It does not come close on the ingredient label. Number 9. Wendy's Crispy Chicken Sandwich. The most effective brand positioning in fast food history might be Wendy's Fresh Never Frozen campaign. 4 words, used for decades. And what those 4 words created was genuinely valuable. The widespread belief that Wendy's operates on a different standard than everyone else. The fresh beef promise was real. It applied to the beef. But in the minds of millions of regular customers, it became shorthand for the entire brand. The crispy chicken sandwich was never part of that promise. The chicken contains TBHQ, tertiary butyl hydroquinone. It is a preservative synthesized from butane, the same base chemical found in lighter fluid. The FDA permits TBHQ in food at very low concentrations, and that approval has held in the United States for decades. The European Food Safety Authority reviewed the same compound and landed somewhere different. European regulators raised concerns about potential effects on immune function and flagged possible genotoxicity at elevated exposure levels. The EU has since moved to restrict TBHQ further. In the United States, it remains fully permitted with no consumer warning required. TBHQ does not appear in fresh food. It appears in food that needs its shelf life extended past what natural ingredients allow. And a brand that staked its entire identity on the word fresh is using a petroleum-derived preservative, one that European regulators have restricted, in the products sitting right next to the fresh beef burger on the same menu board. 2 products, 2 completely different ingredient philosophies, one brand name covering both with no explanation at the counter. Most people ordering the crispy chicken at Wendy's have never known those were 2 separate standards running inside the same kitchen. That is not a small gap. If the ingredient patterns across these brands are useful to you, a like helps more people find this from Consumer Alert. Number 8. KFC Crispy Kernel Sandwich. Harlan Sanders was a real person. The roadside kitchen in Corbin, Kentucky was real. The years he spent developing that recipe, the 11 herbs and spices, the genuine commitment to a single product done at a high standard before any franchise existed, That is authentic history. The trust KFC built across multiple generations was not built through advertising. It came from a real product that people experienced firsthand and passed down. Seniors who grew up eating KFC carry that association. Sunday dinners, family occasions, something that felt made with actual care. That emotional connection is genuine, and it runs deep. The crispy kernel sandwich is not part of that story. It contains TBHQ, the same petroleum-derived preservative that just appeared in the Wendy section, restricted by European regulators and permitted here without warning. It also contains MSG, and the sodium approaches 1,400 milligrams per sandwich, higher than the Popeye's number we are about to get to, which was already burning through nearly 60% of the daily recommended ceiling. Here is the part that matters most. The 11 herbs and spices Harlan Sanders spent his career developing do not appear in the ingredient disclosure for this sandwich. What appears instead is a list of industrial additives his original kitchen never needed and was never designed around. Think about someone who has trusted KFC for 50 years, who orders the crispy kernel without looking at the label because they have trusted this brand their entire adult life. That trust was built by a person with a genuine recipe. It is now being extended to a product the Colonel would not recognize. 70 years of earned heritage, one ingredient list that reflects none of it. Number 7. Popeye's Chicken Sandwich. You know exactly what this moment was. The lines wrapping around buildings, sold-out signs within days of launch, a social media back and forth that generated millions of impressions in hours, people waiting in drive-thrus for an hour, food journalists writing about it, late-night hosts referencing it. For roughly 3 weeks in 2019, the Popeye's chicken sandwich was the single most discussed food item in the country. Here is the one number that never trended during any of that. One classic Popeye's chicken sandwich contains 1,317 milligrams of sodium. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams for a healthy adult per day. That one sandwich, before the Cajun fries, before the biscuit, before the drink, before breakfast or dinner that same day, already delivers nearly 60% of that entire daily ceiling. For the people who stood in those lines and then kept coming back every week, the sodium accumulation over time is not a minor footnote. It is the kind of consistent daily excess that cardiologists say they spend entire appointments trying to trace in patients who genuinely do not know where it is coming from. People who do not think of themselves as eating badly. People who chose chicken over red meat because they understood that to be the responsible call. Popeyes has not reformulated the sodium content since launch. The cultural moment moved on. The ingredient list stayed exactly where it was on day one. The internet celebrated it. The cardiologist quietly noted it. Nobody tweeted that part. Number 6. Zaxby's Signature Sandwich. Zaxby's grew up across the South as the friendly local alternative, the place with the sauces, the wings and fingers combos, the college town energy. It feels handmade, casual, a step above the drive-through giants. But the signature sandwich pulls from the exact same commodity chicken pipeline as almost everyone else on this list. The breading system carries sodium aluminum phosphate and modified food starch, and the frying oil contains dimethyl polysiloxane, the same silicone anti-foaming compound already flagged twice. The sodium climbs past 1,200 milligrams before a single crinkle fry or drop of that famous sauce is added. There is no published third-party animal welfare certification, no antibiotic use policy, and no farm traceability made available to the customer. The regional charm is real, the relaxed atmosphere is real. But the sandwich at the center of it was built in the same industrial facilities feeding the national chains, seasoned with the same additive package, and shipped in pre-formed. The Southern hospitality is authentic. The chicken sandwich is national commodity product wearing a friendly regional face. Number 5. McDonald's McChicken. The McChicken has been on the McDonald's menu in some form for so long that ordering it barely registers as a decision. Dollar menu anchor, budget staple. The sandwich grandparents grab for grandchildren when the goal is keeping everyone happy without spending much. It is familiar the way a piece of furniture is familiar. You stop actually looking at it. And that kind of familiarity is exactly where the real problems hide. The McChicken patty is made from mechanically separated chicken. Most people who have ordered this sandwich dozens of times have never even encountered that phrase. Here is what it actually describes. After all the conventional cuts have been removed from a chicken carcass, What remains gets forced through a high-pressure industrial sieve. Bone fragments are filtered out. What passes through the other side is a smooth, pale, protein-dense paste. That paste is then seasoned, shaped, and formed into the patty that ends up in the paper wrapper. The FDA requires this to be disclosed. McDonald's discloses it. Mechanically separated chicken appears in the ingredient list in plain English. The disclosure is there. The problem is that almost nobody reads fast food ingredient lists, and the people most likely eating McChickens regularly are often the ones with the fewest reasons to think they need to. Seniors on fixed incomes, families stretching a food budget, people who have trusted this sandwich for 30 years without a single reason to question it. Think about someone handing that wrapper to a child, watching them eat, feeling like they provided something affordable and decent. Then think about what is actually in the patty, a paste pressed into a circle inside a bun. That is the honest description. It is not spin. It is what the label says if you look. Most people never look, and that is not a character flaw. It is what happens when something has been in your life long enough that it stops feeling like a choice at all. Number 4. Chick-fil-A Classic Chicken Sandwich. There is a level of trust Chick-fil-A has built that almost no other fast food brand has come close to. Closed on Sundays. Staff who genuinely seem happy to be at work. A cleanliness standard most competitors cannot maintain. When people think about fast food they actually feel okay about, Chick-fil-A is almost always the first name that comes up. Parents order it for their kids without a second thought. That comfort was built over decades, and it is completely real, which is exactly why this next number matters more here than it would anywhere else. The classic Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich contains over 60 ingredients, 60, for a piece of chicken between two buns. The chicken is pressure cooked in refined peanut oil, one of the most allergenic substances in the food supply. Families ordering for young children, including children with undiagnosed peanut sensitivities, are ordering from a chain that runs that oil through every fryer and does not surface that warning prominently before the order is placed. The breading system is where it gets more complicated. Sodium aluminum phosphate (MSG) and dimethyl polysiloxane, a silicone anti-foaming compound added directly into the frying oil. Dimethyl polysiloxane is the same base compound found in silly putty. FDA approved at low concentrations and present in every single batch of oil your sandwich is cooked in. At a brand that has spent its entire existence signaling that it operates differently from everyone else in the industry. The marketing says values. The ingredient label says silicone in the fryer. The parent who picks Chick-fil-A specifically because it feels like the careful, responsible choice, who orders the classic every week because the restaurant is clean and the staff is kind and the whole experience signals that someone actually thought about this. That parent has never been shown an ingredient count of 60 because the brand has never once put that number near the front of the experience. That is not an oversight. 60 ingredients is not a chicken sandwich. It is a manufacturing specification shaped to look like one. And the brand that earned more genuine consumer trust than almost anyone in this space is spending that trust on a product that does not match the story being told at the counter. This sits high on the list not because Chick-fil-A scores worst on every individual metric. It sits here because the gap between what this brand has made people believe and what is actually in the classic sandwich is wider than almost anywhere else. Number 3. Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich. The spicy version rides the same wave as the original that broke the internet, and it draws the loyalty of people who believe the heat means it is somehow the bolder, less processed option. It is not. It carries everything the classic does, and then adds more. The sodium on the spicy climbs even higher, pushing past 1,400 milligrams in a single sandwich, and the spice blend rests on the same commodity breading system built for shelf stability rather than simplicity. The marinade and coating include modified food starch and sodium phosphates, and the frying oil carries the same industrial additive profile as the rest of the deep-fried field. The heat is a flavor decision. It changes nothing about the sourcing, the sodium load, or the additive package underneath. People chasing the spicy think they are getting something more authentic, more handmade, closer to real cooking. What they are actually getting is the same industrial sandwich with a hotter seasoning layer painted over the top. Number 2. Subway Crispy Chicken. Subway sells a feeling more than it sells food, the feeling of control. You watch the sandwich being built right in front of you. You pick the vegetables, the bread, whether the sauce goes on. You leave feeling like you made a deliberate, considered choice while everyone else just grabbed whatever was handed to them through a window. That visible assembly is the most effective health claim Subway has ever made, and it cost them nothing because it is never actually stated. It is just the experience of watching your food being built. The crispy chicken patty at the center of this sandwich did not arrive at that counter this morning. It arrived pre-breaded, pre-cooked and pre-formed from a processing facility, the same way commodity chicken does at most of the other chains on this list. The assembly you watched was the final step of a product built somewhere else entirely. The ingredient list includes sodium phosphates, modified cornstarch, and carrageenan. If you have been keeping count, this is the third time carrageenan has appeared. After Burger King, after Jack in the Box, and now inside the chain that built its entire brand identity around fresh, visible, customizable food. The compound the organic food industry decided was not clean enough for certified products is a recurring ingredient at the chain most associated with healthy eating. Before any sauce, before cheese, before any of the toppings that make the assembly feel like a health decision. The sodium is already approaching 900 milligrams. Add the bread, add a sauce, and you are past 1,000 milligrams before you have made a single choice that felt like a compromise. Think about the person eating here 3 times a week because it feels smarter than everything around it. The person who switched to Subway specifically for health reasons. The person carefully tracking calories in an app but never once checking the ingredient list because the ingredient list is not what the Subway experience asks you to focus on. The health story costs Subway nothing to imply. The counter creates the impression of transparency without any of its substance. Go find the ingredient list from your last Subway order, count the additives on the crispy chicken alone, then think about what was actually in your head when you were standing there choosing your vegetables. Those are 2 completely different products. Only one of them was shown to you. And number 1, the hardest one on this list, because it is the sandwich people trust the most quietly. Number 1, Chick-fil-A Deluxe Chicken Sandwich. The Deluxe carries all the weight of the classic, plus the extra halo of the lettuce, the tomato, the cheese, the little touches that make it feel like a fuller, more complete, more wholesome meal. Parents choose it for exactly that reason. It looks like more of a real plate of food. But the chicken at the center is the identical over 60-ingredient patty from the classic, pressure-cooked in the same refined peanut oil, breaded with the same sodium aluminum phosphate and MSG, fried in the same oil-carrying dimethyl polysiloxane, the silicone anti-foaming compound. The added toppings do not change the manufacturing specification underneath. They raise the sodium even higher and add the impression of freshness on top of a product built in a processing facility. This sits at number 1 because the gap between what people believe and what is actually there is the widest of all. The higher the trust and the more wholesome the presentation, the more the transparency matters. And on the Deluxe, the transparency is not there. Now you know what to avoid. Here are the 3 that actually held up. Best option number 3, Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's has 4 items on the menu. Chicken fingers, crinkle fries, coleslaw, Texas toast. That has been the complete menu since Todd Graves opened the first location in Baton Rouge in 1996. Every person who told him a one-item chicken concept would never scale has watched it prove them wrong across more than 700 locations. The menu simplicity is not a gimmick, it is the operating philosophy. The chicken fingers are whole muscle breast tenderloins, not formed, not reformed, not mechanically separated paste pressed into a shape at a processing facility. Actual tenderloins, hand-cut from real chicken breasts, marinated overnight, hand-battered in the restaurant, and cooked to order. The ingredient list for the chicken is among the shortest of any fast food chicken product in America. No carrageenan, no TBHQ, no dimethyl polysiloxane in the frying oil. Bite into a Cane's chicken finger, and the texture is consistent all the way through. No soft center giving way differently than the exterior. No filler beneath the breading. Just chicken because it is chicken. Whole muscle, one cut, exactly what it says it is. If you have been handing fast food chicken to your family without reading the label, this is the one where that check is not necessary. The ingredient list is short because the product is genuinely simple. Nothing is hidden behind 60-line items because there is nothing to hide. Best option number 2, Culver's Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Culver's opened in Sauk City, Wisconsin in 1984. Craig and Leah Culver built the first location around a founding principle that is easy to say and genuinely hard to hold across 40 years of growth. Do fewer things at a higher standard than everyone around you. 4 decades later, that principle shows up in the actual sourcing decisions the company makes. Culver sources its chicken through suppliers certified under recognized animal welfare programs, with published standards and verified third-party auditing. Not a claim on a website, but a certification with real accountability behind it. No artificial colors anywhere on the menu. No artificial flavors. The breading system is clean compared to the commodity industry standard responsible for the TBHQ, carrageenan and dimethylpolysiloxane running through the brands on the avoid list. Every chicken breast at Culver's is whole muscle, hand-breaded per order in the restaurant, not pre-formed at a processing facility and shipped in. You can watch it being made, because the sourcing and preparation decisions make that visibility honest rather than performative. For anyone who has spent years trusting fast food chicken brands and is now thinking more carefully about what that trust should actually require, Culver's is one of the rare cases where looking directly at the sourcing does not change the picture. The transparency holds up, particularly if you are in the Midwest, where the locations are most accessible. 40 years of making the harder choice. The ingredient list is the proof. Best option number 1, Chick-fil-A grilled chicken sandwich. Yes, Chick-fil-A is on both lists, and that is not a contradiction. It is the single most important distinction in this entire video. Everything said about the classic and the deluxe stands completely unchanged. Over 60 ingredients, peanut oil allergy risk, dimethylpolysiloxane in the fryer, sodium aluminum phosphate in the breading system. Every word of that is accurate and all of it matters. The grilled chicken sandwich is a completely different product made by the same brand. Whole breast meat, no breading system, no industrial fryer, no dimethylpolysiloxane, no sodium aluminum phosphate. The ingredient count drops from over 60 to under 15. The sodium falls to approximately 610 milligrams, less than half the Popeye's number. The cooking method is a grill, not an industrial fryer loaded with silicone compounds. For anyone managing blood sugar or watching sodium intake, the Chick-fil-A grilled sandwich is one of the cleanest high-protein fast food options available at this price point. For families who want to say yes without saying yes to a 60-ingredient manufacturing process, this is the version that actually earns it. For athletes who need a quick whole food protein source without the additive load, the nutritional profile holds up under real scrutiny. The grilled sandwich is what the Chick-fil-A advertising has always implied you were getting. The fried versions got in the way for most people, because most people have never been told that these are completely separate products with completely different ingredient stories operating under the same logo at the same counter. That distinction is exactly what the industry depends on you never making. 13 sandwiches, the same broken system running through nearly all of them. Carrageenan in 3, TBHQ in 2, dimethylpolysiloxane in multiple fryers, mechanically separated chicken paste formed into a patty at one of the most recognized chains on earth. A petroleum-derived synthetic dye that triggers mandatory government health warnings across the European Union, on a sandwich marketed around American family nostalgia, with nothing equivalent required on U.S. packaging. Raising Cane's, Culver's, the Chick-fil-A grilled sandwich. 3 options that looked at the same commodity system every other chain plugged into and made a different call. Not through campaigns about their own integrity, but through sourcing decisions and ingredient lists that reflect a different set of priorities. The chicken sandwich was supposed to be the smarter trade, the lighter option, the fast food stop that felt like less of a compromise. Now you know exactly which ones actually are. If this breakdown from Consumer Alert helped you make a better call next time, passing it on to someone who eats at these places every single week is the most useful thing you can possibly do with the next 2 minutes of your day, because the people who need this most are exactly the ones who have never once thought to look.